Most couples spend years planning their retirement together. They plan the budget, they plan the travel, they plan when to claim Social Security and which Medicare plan to choose. What most couples never plan for is what happens when one of them is gone. When the higher earning spouse passes away, the surviving spouse can face something no spreadsheet prepares you for. A sudden drop in income. One Social Security check disappears. Pension income may stop or reduce significantly. Tax filing status changes from married to single, and the tax brackets that protected you as a couple no longer apply. All of this happens at once. All of it happens while someone is grieving. Stay with me, because in the next 10 minutes, I am going to walk you through exactly what happens to a surviving spouse's retirement and what you and your partner can do right now together to protect against it. Let's go. Let me start with the area that affects most surviving spouses most immediately: Social Security. Here is how it works. When you are married, you and your spouse each receive your own Social Security benefit. When one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse does not keep both checks. They keep the larger one. If your benefit is $2,000 per month and your spouse's benefit is $3,000 per month and your spouse passes first, you transition to the $3,000 survivor benefit. Your own $2,000 check stops. The net household income drops by $2,000 every single month. This is one of the most significant and most predictable financial events in retirement, and yet most couples do not plan for it. Now, here is the one Social Security claiming decision that protects your surviving spouse more than any other. The higher earning spouse should delay claiming as long as possible, ideally to age 70. Every year of delay past full retirement age adds 8% to the higher earner's benefit permanently. And when that higher earning spouse passes, the surviving spouse steps into that larger benefit and receives it for the rest of their life. A higher earning spouse who claims at 67 instead of 70 may save 3 years of patience in the short term. But for a surviving spouse who lives to 85 or 90, the difference in monthly income over 15 or 20 years can amount to tens of thousands of dollars. The decision the higher earning spouse makes about when to claim is one of the most powerful financial gifts they can give their partner. Now, let me talk about something most financial conversations leave out: the widow's tax penalty. When a spouse passes away, the surviving spouse typically files as a single taxpayer beginning the following year. This changes everything about how they are taxed. The standard deduction for a single filer in 2026 is roughly half that of a married couple filing jointly. The income thresholds for each tax bracket, the thresholds that trigger Social Security taxation, and the IRMAA thresholds for Medicare premiums. All of them drop by approximately half when you go from joint to single filing. What this means in practice is this: a surviving spouse whose income stays exactly the same as it was during the marriage will almost certainly face a higher tax bill, higher Social Security taxation, and potentially higher Medicare premiums, simply because their filing status changed. This is the widow's penalty. It is not a mistake. It is not something you can appeal. It is simply how the tax code is written. The way to prepare for it is to plan income in advance so that a surviving spouse has flexibility, Roth accounts to draw from tax-free, a life insurance benefit to supplement reduced income, and a financial picture that does not collapse when one income source disappears. Now let me walk you through what happens to retirement accounts when a spouse passes. If your spouse named you as the primary beneficiary of their IRA or 401k, you have an option that no other beneficiary receives. You can roll the inherited account directly into your own IRA. This means the account becomes yours, subject to your own RMD schedule, your own tax situation, and your own planning. This is almost always the best option for a surviving spouse because it preserves the maximum flexibility and defers RMDs as long as possible. If you are not named as the primary beneficiary of your spouse's retirement accounts, the assets must pass through the estate or go to whoever is named. Here is the most important takeaway about retirement accounts. Beneficiary designations on IRAs and 401ks override your will. It does not matter what your will says. If your spouse's IRA names a different beneficiary, that person receives the account. So, this is the number one estate planning mistake couples make. Outdated beneficiary designations, an IRA that still lists a deceased parent, a 401k that was never updated after a divorce, a policy that names children equally when one child has special needs and equal distribution is not actually equal protection. Review every beneficiary designation, every account, every insurance policy. Do it today. Now, let me talk about life insurance in retirement because many couples assume they no longer need it once the mortgage is paid and the children are grown. That assumption is worth examining carefully. Life insurance in retirement serves a different purpose than life insurance during working years. During working years, it replaces income. In retirement, it serves as a tax-efficient wealth transfer tool and as a buffer against exactly the income drop we have been discussing. If the higher earning spouse has a pension that pays at a reduced rate or stops entirely at their death, life insurance on that spouse can provide the surviving partner with a lump sum that replaces years of lost income. Whether life insurance makes sense for you in retirement depends on your income sources, your savings, your health, and your surviving spouse's specific needs. What I can tell you is that dismissing it entirely without running the numbers is a decision worth revisiting. Now, let me give you 5 conversations every couple should have, ideally before either of you needs this information. The first conversation is about Social Security. Both spouses should know their projected benefit amounts. Both should understand how the survivor benefit works. And both should agree on the higher earners claiming strategy, because that strategy protects the surviving spouse more than almost any other single decision. The second conversation is about beneficiaries. Pull out every account statement, every IRA, every 401k, every life insurance policy. Confirm who is named as primary beneficiary and who is named as contingent beneficiary. Update anything that is outdated. The third conversation is about where everything is. The surviving spouse needs to know where the accounts are, who the financial advisor is, what the passwords are, and where the important documents are kept. Many surviving spouses spend months trying to reconstruct their own financial picture because their partner handled everything and left no record. The fourth conversation is about income. Walk through a hypothetical scenario together. If one of you were gone tomorrow, what would monthly income look like for the other? What checks would stop? What would continue? What would need to change? This conversation is not morbid. It is responsible. The fifth conversation is about the plan itself. Once you understand what income looks like for the surviving spouse, decide together what steps you want to take now to protect that picture. More Roth conversions to reduce future tax exposure, a life insurance review, a beneficiary audit, a meeting with an estate planning attorney. These are not complicated moves. They are decisions that require about 2 hours of attention and potentially protect your partner for 20 or 30 years of their life. Most couples plan for retirement together. The most loving financial act you can take as a couple is to also plan for the part of retirement that only one of you will experience. If this video helped you think about something you had been putting off, please share it with the person you want to protect. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe and stay protected.